tell me when you've started.
You are ready.
Okay, I would like to call this Board of Selectmen to order.
And I call the Board of Finance to order for our
Okay.
joint meeting.
Why don't we, would everybody join us in the Pledge of Allegiance to the flag? I pledge
allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Okay. We have two items on the board. They have to come before the Board of Selectmen first and then to the Board of Finance. I'll make a motion, then we can have a discussion on the first item. We welcome the Board of Finance to make any comments that you want while we're talking. I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the funding for a new floor scrubber for the high school in an amount not to exceed $13,000, and the funding to be come from the capital non-recurring fund, and to forward that request to the Board of Finance for their consideration.
Second.
Second, discussion. Casey, would you like to give us an overview of why we need the floor scrubber so
Sure. Do you want
quickly?
me to
Sure,
join you?
come sit with us, yeah.
There's the camera.
I'd like to note, as part of the discussion, we usually don't like to do special appropriations outside of the normal process of Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance meetings, but in this case, there is an emergency, there is a problem we have to address immediately, and that's why we asked for a special meeting of both boards. Go ahead,
Thank you.
Casey, why don't you tell us about the floor scrubber?
Perfect, thank you so much. First of all, thank you all very, very much for agreeing to have this special meeting. I would not be making this request, the Board of Ed would not be making this request if it wasn't an urgent need that we have in our districts. Does everybody have
Yep.
documents? You have. So, and I understand making requests such as this out of cycle is not, is not ideal, ever. However, right now, we have one floor scrubber at the high school. We used to have two. We are down to one floor scrubber, and it is almost inoperable. It works about 10 minutes at a time before it overheats, and it has to be shut down to cool off. There's a mechanism in it that releases water, and then it sucks it back up. It releases too much water, so it actually leaves a trail of water. In one of the pictures that I've included in the memo here that was shared with the Board of Ed, and since the Board of Selectmen and Board of Finance, there's a stream of water that is left on the floor, and my custodial team has to go follow that with a hand mop every time it's used to clean up that extra water. It does become a safety concern. This floor scrubber was in the capital budget planning request in the 25 for this current year, the 25-26. I understand, at the time it was working. It didn't have the amount of trouble that it has right now, but we knew it was at the very end of its useful life. It had some maintenance repairs in the last several years, so we knew that was really, really approaching. As it didn't make that final submission for the budget, we are now faced with sort of this critical need. It is so ineffective and inefficient for the custodial team to clean the floors in this way. And it does pose, like I said, a safety risk when we've got wet floors throughout the building. So the proposal here is to replace it with a Trident floor scrubber, which is a ride-on machine. It's the same machine that is used at CLES right now, which is very, very efficient. It does, twice the amount of floor almost in what this other equipment does. It's much bigger. And the quote that we have for this, the most recent quote as of September 3rd, the quote is valid through October 18th, is for $12,745. Now I realize when we made the request in the capital planning process, the quote that was reviewed at that time was $15,617. So the request at the time in the capital budget was not to exceed $16,000. It's the same equipment. This is at the end of the year-end inventory, so it's very, very good pricing. We have additional quotes from two other vendors for the same piece of equipment. One is $19,994. Another one is $24,653. So it would behoove us to not allow this quote to expire on the 18th because it is a really good piece of equipment for a very reasonable price. That's my pitch on the floor
You
scrubber.
said
Is there
it
questions?
expires when?
October 18th.
And right now, you have guys mopping the floors.
They have to follow that through with a mop to clean up that extra water on the floor. And again, it operates 10 minutes at a time, and because it is, I mean, typically the useful life expectancy of these commercial floor scrubbing machines is anywhere from 5 to 10 years, depending on its use. This is used every single day. It is really heavy use. And this particular equipment that we have is no longer manufactured, so it's becoming increasingly difficult to find the replacement parts. You'll hear that same shtick when it comes to the scoreboard as well. It's just tough when these things get beyond their useful life to really maintain them in the way that we need to.
And from a funding perspective, the schools did return $300 plus and then $47,000
Yep.
to the town.
That went into capital non-recurring.
There's a vote that's going to be taken next week about moving $600,000 of unexpended money into capital non-recurring to.
That would include what the school board.
Which could include some of this. It hasn't been allocated yet, and that would leave this unexpended money in capital non-recurring at $2.3 million if that 600 moves over.
You had said originally you had 2 machines at the high school.
Yep.
How many machines do you have at CLES? Is it just the one?
I think it is just the one.
Okay.
Yeah.
So that's enough capacity to
Yeah.
do what you need to do in the high
It's
school?
a bigger machine, so
Yeah.
it covers more flooring, more floor at the same time, so.
And this is a machine that you think will meet our needs?
Absolutely.
I have no further questions.
I have no further questions. I made a motion, we had a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Do you want to move on to the Board of Finance discussion on this?
Sure. Do we need to make a motion then?
Yeah, you do.
Then I'll make a motion to recommend that the Board of Finance approve the funding of not to exceed $13,000 for a new floor scrubber for the high school. Do I have a second?
Yes.
Thanks.
Do you want to say the funding source as part of that
Oh.
motion?
From
At a
the
capital non-recurring?
From the capital non-recurring.
It's not in there.
Oh, that's why.
We weren't sure exactly where we were going to get the funding when
Okay.
we called the meeting.
Okay. Then I will make an amendment to my motion. I'd like to make a motion that the Board of Finance approve the funding not to exceed $13,000 from the capital non-recurring to fund the new floor scrubber at the high school. Do I have a second?
I'll second.
Okay. All in favor?
Sorry,
discuss.
a couple quick things. First, from the, kind of to reiterate what Casey said before, when this came to the capital committee, the view was, it was working, it was hard to find parts, we knew it was gonna go at some point, and we said, should this thing go belly up, come back in. So, this is quicker than we were hoping
Yeah.
for, but we're not,
But not a surprise.
yeah, not surprised. And if we could have squeezed another year out of the old one, that would have been great if we could have done that,
Yeah.
but that's okay. And then just one question, it's the same machine I see, but the original code had a couple batteries and a charger, is that in here as well, or?
That's a good question. I think it does have the batteries. I can double check
Yeah,
that.
because the line item in the old one was 13.4, and this one's 12.7, and then there was an additional for the batteries and the charger,
Yep.
so I just don't know if it's apples to apples.
I can confirm
Just
that.
gotta make sure we're buying a working one.
It has batteries for the machine.
Okay.
Yes.
So-
Yeah. But I'll confirm if it needs anything additional.
I think it
It
was,
shouldn't.
from what I remember, they wanted extra batteries so they could always,
Yeah, I think
they
that's the
could be
case.
charging something user, which is probably a little bit more than what we needed anyway. So
Yeah.
I think this is probably fine as
Yeah.
your request.
Yeah, they're not gonna give me a
Okay.
machine that doesn't work,
That's it.
I promise.
I noticed too on the quote that it mentions the global tariffs, but I'm assuming that this machine is probably already, if it's the end, it's already produced, is that already sitting here, so we can anticipate probably not getting hit with tariffs?
I would anticipate
Okay.
that to be correct. I think if this goes through tonight,
Yep.
we will probably be picking up the machine tomorrow. As quickly as we possibly can get through the PO process and the procurement in our
Okay.
system.
Does anybody else on our board
I have no
any
questions.
Thank you.
The machine is broken, we gotta replace it.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah, it wasn't, like you said, it wasn't a surprise,
Yeah.
like maybe the timing a little sooner, but it's obviously. Okay. All in favor?
Aye.
None opposed? Passes.
Thank you very much.
Don't go anywhere.
I'm not going.
So on the second item, I would make a motion that the Board of Selectmen approve the funding for a digital scoreboard for the high school in an amount not to exceed $35,000. Funding to come out of capital non-recurring, and forward that request to the Board of Finance for their consideration. Do I have a second?
Second.
Second. Any discussion on this?
Why don't you give us a little more background
Yeah,
on what's
sure.
going on with that?
Yep. This is a similar circumstance in terms of it was requested through the capital funding process for the 25-26 budget. At that time, the conversation was very similar to this floor scrubber, which is it's been breaking down, it's at the end of its useful life, and it is time to replace it. Is it functioning today, right now? Yes, it is. But at that time, we knew we had already had one major repair to the scoreboard in the last football, or after the football season. And so we knew it was time to replace it. So in the capital planning request, the request there was to replace both sides of that scoreboard. The other side of the football scoreboard, which faces the turf field, is the baseball and softball scoreboard. That too is at the end of its useful life. It hasn't had nearly as many repairs to it in recent years, but we know just based on the age of the equipment, it is time to look at replacing that as well. So the initial request in the capital planning process was to replace both sides of that scoreboard. That is why you'll see the difference in the request from the capital process of the $53,000 to what we're requesting today, which is the $35,000.
Casey, are they just back to back?
Yep, it's on the same.
They're not connected to each other,
Correct.
they're just back to back.
Correct, and I've confirmed that replacing one doesn't make it any more or less difficult to replace the other side down the road. Fair warning, I likely will be coming and requesting the replacement of that back half of the scoreboard in this next capital planning process, because it is still now one more year past its useful life. But again, we're having much less issues with that scoreboard, and so again, being cognizant of this is not ideal to be
Right.
coming mid-cycle asking for this funding, that is why we're only requesting the football side to be replaced. This scoreboard is I was holding my breath all Friday night, I assure you. I got into the office Friday morning with a text message from our athletic director and our building principal and the facilities director saying the scoreboard is not working. And it took about 3 hours of climbing up and pulling panels off and being on the phone with the one person in the state of Connecticut that actually repairs scoreboards, and he was out in Oregon at the time. On the phone with him, troubleshooting, we thankfully did get it to come back to life. And we were just hoping that it would sustain for the home opener game that took place that evening. In the meantime, our athletic director drove to Farmington several hours out of his day to get a backup sort of temporary scoreboard if, our normal scoreboard should, go on the fritz again during the game. But that was just a one-time loaner.
But we should also understand that you cannot have a game without a scoreboard.
Correct.
You cannot have the home game.
Correct. Our athletic director did confirm that with the powers that be at CIAC and those folks. To host a home game, we have to have a functioning scoreboard that's viewable to the audience and to the refs and everybody. So I can't express enough the urgency of this. I have video of the crackling noise that it makes when it does come back on. It is in dire straits that we get this
How
replaced.
quickly can we get this board? Because we probably have a home game in
Yep.
2 weeks.
So that's the unfortunate piece. It is probably going to be 6 weeks before we can get this and have it installed.
At least 2 more home games.
Yep.
Okay.
So the sooner we can get moving on this,
Okay.
certainly the better.
And then if we did both sides, it's 53, but if we did the second side later, it would be another 35?
I think it's not quite. It was 52 for both. The football side is 35, so 35. 20,
some
27, 20.
Okay, so
something.
it won't change, the total will be still the same?
So
Hopefully.
I got the updated quote as of the beginning of September. It hadn't changed then.
Okay.
I'm not sure if it will change come November.
That's a chance we take.
Yeah,
But it's
exactly.
not double, it's not gonna be double or anything.
Correct.
Well, the old quote, the baseball scoreboard was about $6,000. And
The
then there's some
baseball.
miscellaneous stuff, the baseball, yeah,
The backside.
the backside.
And when you think about the turf fields is lacrosse and soccer and field hockey and football, and the softball field is softball.
And it's right now, baseball won't be till
Yeah.
the spring,
Yeah.
so, and softball won't be till the spring, so we have a little more time there.
And I'm not sure about the rules for having an operational scoreboard for lacrosse and soccer. I don't think it's as stringent as football.
We host tournament games too, and I imagine that the rules are
Absolutely.
different.
But I don't
It's
think
just
that's
not
a question, I think
Yeah.
we have to have a
Yeah,
scoreboard. I don't
yeah.
think any of us are, you know, we agree that, I mean, you need, you know, the school
I
needs a
suggested
scoreboard.
having the little kids holding up the,
You have a hard enough
I
time
used
being
The
volunteers.
the other
I
thing
shot
I
down on that.
The other thing I just want to note as well is that the request for the scoreboard, we were working very closely with Laura Murphy in Parks and Rec because we want to be aware that yes, this helps our student athletes in our programs, but it is on the athletic field, which is sort of run and managed by Parks and Rec. That's why you'll see Laura Murphy did put her
Co-sign,
signature
yeah.
to that and co-signed this request as well. So I just
And
thought that was
also, if you
important to mention.
remember, the Booster Club made a significant effort to try to get a grant for the full 55,000 for both, but they didn't win that grant, so they really made the effort.
Yeah.
We want to thank them for trying.
Absolutely.
Yeah, when, to get back to the capital committee, when this was looked at in the budget cycle, this was kind of just a lower priority item versus all the things we're looking for the schools and the fields. It looked a little expensive, and we were hoping that the Booster
get the
Club was
grant.
gonna get it. So again, we kind of said,
Absolutely.
let's start with going after
Yeah.
a grant first.
Makes
And
a lot of
the
sense.
Booster Club was working on a grant for the football field scoreboard or both?
I think just the football
Just
field.
the football.
Yeah.
field.
Yeah.
Is there any opportunity to go after grants for the other one?
For the, potentially, we can look into that. We can look into it. I think the AD had some ideas for where we might be able to receive some funding for that, but not entirely.
I was actually gonna float the idea, why don't we just bite the bullet and do both, right, and get it done?
That's what I was asking
But if
too.
there's an opportunity to get funding for that back half, I think I'm gonna not go there. So.
Yeah, like I said, that one isn't as critical, right? That's
I don't think there's a economy of scale of doing both at the same time, quite
Right,
honestly.
right.
Well, it's get out of the way, that's what was in my
Yeah.
head more than an economy of scale.
Yeah.
But okay.
Can I ask a question? The last time we looked at it, there wasn't a sponsor panel, so I don't know what a sponsor panel is.
Ooh.
I think that's just like a banner that goes on the bottom for folks that might want to sponsor it, which I don't think
I
that we are.
think this scoreboard that we have now, I think Pepsi contributed
Pepsi
part of
did.
the money
Yeah.
for the board.
Yeah, but
I
I
don't
don't
think
think
they're doing
it's.
that
I don't think
anymore.
Pepsi is up there
No,
anymore.
no.
Yeah.
Well, it's
Only your-
$2,500. If we're not gonna get sponsors to pay at least that, then we shouldn't spend the money on that.
I think most people want to pursue sponsors in the future.
Yeah,
But they have the
could in
sponsor
the future.
banners, but they,
That's true.
I mean, if we're buying it, then there's nothing to
Get someone to
sponsor.
sponsor a dome, so why don't we build a dome? I mean, that's,
Yeah, right, no,
Yeah.
I'm just saying.
I can,
The idea itself is not, it's, but I don't know if it's going to be
idea we could get a
feasible.
grant, I don't know, just,
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, I
that's
think
the only thing in here I
feasible.
see that's worth.
We've had pretty good luck getting sponsors for various things, so
I can find out about that, certainly, and with it being an amount not to exceed, if it come to find out we really don't need that at all, and it's
You
never
take it out.
utilized now, we can certainly take it
Or
out.
if you
Well-
can add it later for the same price,
Yeah,
and so you
exactly.
can have sponsors before you did it.
Well,
Yeah.
there was,
Yeah, I will find
I
out about
remember back when.
Or we say that you can get it, but then you have to, you have to get sponsored.
Right.
I remember back, I want to say 10 years ago, it was right when I got on the Board of Ed, there was a long discussion about did we want sponsors or not want
Right.
sponsors in that football field. That'd probably be a good discussion for the policy
would be
committee
nice.
probably about
Yeah.
what position is the Board of Ed on sponsors, right? Because you get into the issue of, okay, I can see Pepsi being a sponsor, but do I want Joe's Smoke and Vape Shop to be
Yeah,
a
no.
sponsor?
Don't we have-
right?
don't-
And
does-
what-
There's
what's the-
policy on
what's-
that.
what's there is policy about that, and
Yeah.
I think if we're gonna spend the money on a sponsor
look at it.
panel, we ought to make sure that it's consistent with the
Yeah.
policy
Yeah.
that we have.
Yeah, there is policy on that, and I know the Booster Club does advertise around the fence of the track.
Right.
being that, so the Board of Ed policy is pretty clear about advertising and not endorsing it, and, you know, if it's advertising for profit, we can't be involved in that.
Yeah.
With this being on Parks and Rec, a Parks and Rec facility, technically, right? Like, I'm not sure if it necessarily applies. I think you definitely want to have conversations about what would be acceptable for a, you know,
Yeah.
a student athlete arena, so.
So you'll
but
go
I
back,
will-
you'll go back and look at that and
Absolutely.
determine if you really need that?
Absolutely.
And we'll do an up to motion and
Yeah.
leave it in
We've
your
done
able
it. Leave it
hands.
in there, the 35.
Yeah.
Okay. Any further questions, Bob?
I
Are you comfortable,
I have no
ready to
further
vote?
questions.
Okay, we have a motion, we have a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye, carries 2-0. It's to the Board of Finance.
Okay. I would like to make a motion to approve an amount not to exceed $35,000 from the capital non-recurring for the purchase of a digital scoreboard at Brookfield High School. Is there a
Second.
Okay. Any discussion? I don't have anything else. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very, very much.
You're welcome.
Most welcome.
Having no further business, I will adjourn the Board of Selectmen meeting.
And I will adjourn the Board of Finance meeting. Do I have a second?
Thank you,
Thank you, guys.
everybody.
Thank you.
Thanks, everybody.
Yeah.
The school will be very happy.
Yeah.
Great.
Thank you all.
Thank you for all the students. Thank you, Casey.